Okay, guys. Well, we are waiting on a few more people to join, but as usual, we can go ahead and get started. This is a recorded spaces, so if you're joining us now or if you're joining us for the recording, we welcome you. And uh, we're hosting today from Dirty Jeeto, managing your slippage and gas fees. I am Moon, and my co-host today is Late Night. You would want to introduce yourself, Late Night?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Wasn't much of an introduction. Late Night is one of our core team members who puts in the work where it's needed and is always depended on. Hi, Forecast. Hi, Mr. Sir. You get a break from co-hosting today. G.I. Jane, our resident hold it down woman, and hi, Smart Money. As usual, we like to see you here.
I see everybody's flooding in now. Yeah,
So,
no, for those people who don't know me, I'm late night. I normally just do a whole bunch of the behind the scenes stuff, like try to like manage bots. I try to get some raids set up. I try to make sure that the team is pumped in the chats. I'm usually up late night, so that's why they call me late night. And I'll be in there just trying to keep people like energized. I don't really like the non-positive. I'm always telling people I love them. I love to see that everybody's interacting and making sure that everybody's comfortable in the community. That's my favorite part about this project is the community because they're definitely here for each other and they want to see each other grow, and I'm all for that.
and we definitely appreciate everything you do. So, just to jump right into the topic, gas fees and slippage, let's start by defining them. So, gas fees are the transaction costs on blockchain networks like Ethereum and Solana that are paid to the validators for processing all of the transactions and executing the smart contracts. So, when you're buying a token, it's the fees that are paid to those who are facilitating that buy or sell to go through. And slippage is it's the difference between the expected price of a trade and the actual executed price of a trade. And it often occurs during high market volatility and low liquidity. So let's say, for example, you're trying to execute a buy. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, if you're trying to execute a trade at 100K, if you have your slippage settings up too high and you hit that buy button, it might execute at 120K and you didn't mean for that to happen. So that's just one example of how it goes. So we want to talk about how you can set those up in whatever trading platform you're using. And we want to learn about any horror stories that you guys can share with those who have experienced a loss in their money based on not having those settings correct. So I know late night you said you had an example from last night that you wanted to share. So we'll start with you.
Oh yeah, definitely. Me and the boys last night, we were in the trenches hard. I don't know if he's in there. Shout out to X Visible. But yeah, we were in the trenches. We were bored. We were playing around. Wasn't spending nothing too crazy. Just a couple bucks, throwing it around. And I was also experimenting with Photon, and I didn't realize that you had to automatically like set your own slippage and like gas fees and bribery rates. So I was just using it casually. I didn't set anything. It seemed like a pretty straightforward program, and I just went in and I was buying dips. I was trying to get out when I needed to, setting my stop loss. And on one of the coins that we were in that was pretty volatile, it didn't trigger any of my stop loss because it was so volatile, and the gas fee wasn't gonna cover it. So I ended up trying to get out, and I ended up losing all my profit on the gas fees and the sell. Yeah, no, it wasn't fun at all.
Yeah, that's gotta hurt. I know on one of my very first trades when I was just trying to trade with, a dollar or two while I was learning the trading strategies and trying to figure out what I wanted my risk level to be. I went into a trade and I didn't know as well that you could set your gas fees manually and your slippage manually. And by the time I got it out of that trade, I had a 300% loss. Luck Luckily, I was only trading with a dollar or two to try to learn this market, and it obviously wasn't much, but it definitely would have hurt if I was trading with $100, $200 because I would have looked up and I'm like, how did I lose more money than I even put in? But yeah, I'm sure everybody has those stories, and that's what we're going to get into how to look for those and different platforms that you can recognize where to set those. We're going to get into that later in the hour. First, welcome, TBO. Glad to have you. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself? That is, if your mic is working on X today.
Yeah, last night I definitely paid a lot of what you like to call it, those tuition fees.
Hard
So,
lessons learned.
Mister was
so
there, man. He was in the trenches with us. Mister
Yeah,
was
yeah,
trying to be a
man.
good chat and tell us, "Don't do it, boys. Don't do it."
I was, yeah.
For those who don't know what late night is referring to, when I started trading crypto, I was losing, obviously, like most of us. And uh, my man came to me and sat me down and he said, you know what? You need to look at this as not losses. You need to look at this as any other educational opportunity in the real world. You're going to pay tuition to learn how to do this. And so any losses, you need to chalk it up to the cost of learning. And so that's what he's referring to. So, anybody else want to introduce with a horror story that they have experienced and where they've paid a little bit too much money on gas fees or slippage, not making those settings right before we get into different platforms and how you can do it?
Yeah, if it's okay, I'd like to share just one little thing.
Of course.
So, starting with horror stories, I guess, nothing like major, but any kind of those major rug projects that you get into, obviously, we're not doing that. But it's going to be really hard to get out of there, even if you have a stop loss, because they dump the whole project, And so, like, I had one, it was a serial AI, and I was up on the project, so I kept putting in, and I thought I had my stop loss available, so I knew that I was safe. It's okay, Bubby, it's okay. And when it dumped, it took everything I had, and by the time I put my third investment in, I was already up a good $40. So I said, "Oh, I'll put another 20 in." I probably had about $60 invested and another $40 in profit. When it dumped all the way down to 1% of what I had, from $100 down to $1, and that was with a stop loss. Going into slippage, and the gas fees. So like, there's a lot of these pump groups you can find out there, and you got to be careful when you're working with them. They'll say that they're going to drop the token address at 2 o'clock, and then sometimes you won't get it till 2:02, and they're just waiting for you to jump in so they can dump it on you. So you really got to be careful. But if you do find a legit pump group, sometimes you do want to raise your slippage and put a little more bribery on there, because what that's going to do is it's going to frontline your transaction. They have all these transactions coming at the same time, and due to those fees, execute the order at all. Um, Most generally speaking, I always do like 0.00001 on my bribery and my priority settings. But if I have a big uh, gamble I want to do, I want to put $100 on there, I might raise that just so that I ensure that I get in at the early time that I want. But yeah, you got to be careful. It's mostly just the rugs that'll take from you when you have that, because the volatility is so high and they dump it all at once. So yeah, that's all I got on that one.
Yeah, it can be treacherous out there. Hi, Tim. Hi, RJ. I see some new faces in the audience. Thank you guys for enjoying us, and welcome, Utica. Thank you for coming back. I recognize you from yesterday. So, just to speak a little bit from my own personal experience, I love Photon. It's the platform that I always use for buys and sells. And you'll notice in the various different platforms, the gas fees are going to have different names. Like you said, it's going to have bribery amount, priority amount. So there are ways to go in and set your defaults where you can click on if it's a low risk, low volatility. I'm sorry, a high risk but low volatility trade. I usually set mine to 0.00001, but it's something that has a lot of volume and you see a lot of buys and sells going in. You have to adjust that. Um, for my slippage on my low volume trades, I always have that at 10%. But like Mista said, if it's something that you see a lot of people are trying to get into, or you see it dumping really quickly and you know that you're trying to get out of it, then you might want to up those a little bit. You're going to pay a little bit more in those fees, but you will be able to execute that trade because um, the transaction makers, they're going to be obviously executing the transactions where they can make the most money that are the most benefit to them. So that's Photon. Does anybody else have any other specific ways to set your gas fees and take advantage of that on other platforms that we might need to know about?
They definitely have where you can adjust it on Phantom too. I think the auto rate for Phantom is normally around like 2.5, and depending on your buy in, it'll definitely auto do it for you. But sometimes those auto fees will get you too.
Yeah, and one of the good strategies on minimizing gas fees is if you're trading during periods of low network congestion, you can reduce those gas fees and you can get in and out pretty simply. I don't usually have trouble when I'm trading doing those 0.0001. But again, if you're looking at a trade that's really popular or a narrative that's trending really highly on all of the platforms, then you want to up those a little bit to make sure you can get in and out without losing a lot of money. Another thing is even on setting your limits, your stop losses and your take profits, you got to be really careful on those because one of the horror stories I have with that is I always leave a moon bag in pretty much every investment that I go into because you never know what's going to catch fire these days in this market. But if you set that take profit, a lot of the scammers and ruggers have techniques in place where they will execute very quickly a high volume buy that shoots the chart up and immediately within the same nanoseconds a sale that brings it right back down to where it was. And so I've been in situations where I had my take profit set at like $1 million and that got triggered, but it got triggered and because I didn't have my slippage rate set appropriately, it got triggered at $1 million, but within that nanosecond it sold at 100,000 and I might have been in at 200,000 or 300,000. So I lost money even though my limit order was set up for me to make money. So that's another area in which you want to watch how you have that slippage set. Um, I'm sure there's somebody in the audience that has had a similar experience to that. Anybody want to chime in?
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, I just echoing that. Yeah, that's happened. I'm sure it's happened to a few of us.
Well, anybody else? So I'm just going to take a moment for our shameless Dirty Jeeto plug. We are a meme coin that has a solid community, and while most are high risk, highly volatile, we are doing these spaces and trying to educate our community and those outside of our community that are just getting introduced to us to let you know that we are here for the long term. We're not going anywhere. All of our top holders are in the VC every single day where you can come and ask us the hard questions. We're going to stand there and we're going to answer them. We want to welcome you as part of the community. We want you to come in and talk to us and tell us what we're doing good, tell us what we're doing bad, offer up strategies to come in. And we got a lot of things in the work that are actually going to help our communities make money outside of Jeeto that we're planning and we're going to execute when the time is right. We're getting ready to do twice daily giveaways at 9 a.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. Eastern every day, where that's going to start tomorrow, where you can come in. And if you are in the RVC at that time, we're going to put everybody in there on a spin wheel, and you have the opportunity to win up to 10% of your Jeeto bag with a max. I'm sorry, 10% of your Jeeto bag up to 50,000 tokens. Obviously, that will grow as we grow, but we're not going to give you guys coming in for freebies the opportunity to crash our charts. So that's why we're starting low. But yeah, that's what we're all about on Dirty Jeeto. We hope to see you. We know this spaces is going to grow. That's why we come here every day and we do what we do. And we do it whether we have 5 people in the room, 2 people in the room, and we'll do the same thing when we have 1,000 people in the room. So come check us out at our TG. We just got our deck screener updated and got rid of some of the negativity attached to what was going on around the first launch. So check us out, see what's coming up. You won't regret it, and you don't have to worry about not sleeping on your bags. So, all right, back to the topic at hand. I am familiar with Photon, like I said. Do any of you guys use? And we have already talked about Phantom. Do any of you guys use Bullx Neo?
Yes.
How are the fees structured on that, and what can you give our audience members on how to manage those?
Yeah, so there's a .0015 gas fee that's default, it's non-negotiable. .0015. And then
You need to take a second
give me
and
one second.
make
Yeah, give me one
Percy
second.
Matters happy. Okay. With that said, every network has and every platform has their own default gas fees. Um, I'm not
Yeah, I
familiar how
was
to.
looking at GMGN. I usually use GMGN too. I like how it's laid out. I don't really like how you have to use your Telegram to use it though, but the layout's pretty clean. The maps are pretty clean. The bubble maps show too, where like dev cells and all of that. So I like it, but they definitely have a similar thing to the Phantom as well. So that's why I was really comfortable with using it at first.
Yeah, I apologize about that. Thank you for speaking up late night. Yeah, I know that I've been told about GMGN as well, having that setting that you can change your slippage and your gas fees, your bribery and priority. With Bolex Neo, it's pretty easy. You can have several defaults. So you don't have to change them every time. If you wanted to get into a high volume coin and be frontline on the blockchain, you can have your priority and bribery set on a specific default that all you got to do is click into that button. It'll change it. But yeah, there's a .0015 Solana that's non-negotiable, and then the rest of it, I'll usually do 5 zeros and then a 1. For my bribery and my priority on any low volume, low congestion trade. If I was to move it up, I wouldn't move it up much. I'd probably take it to probably .001 at the most. And if I was to do that too, I'd recommend this for others. You know, get in with a few bucks. At least a few bucks. Don't do a high priority, high bribery trade with less than $3 or less. You want to at least try to put $20 in there just to make it worth the gas fees when you get in and get out, because you're going to pay that 2 times.
Okay. So smart money, we haven't heard from you. I know we talked earlier and you said you had a story or two you could share. You ready to do that? Not to put you on the spot if you don't want to. Okay. That's what you get for putting people on the spot.
It's still happening as a listener. I don't know if he's trying to move over, but you might see if you can unmute his mic. He's on there as a listener right now.
Yeah, I have it set up where anybody who wants to can come in and speak up. So we don't want to push anybody who doesn't want to. So if he wants to chime in, he'll do that later. And hi, Shill Wave. I'm glad you decided to join us. But
Brother Phil.
speaking on the platforms, I know we've talked about Bullx Neo, we've talked about GMGN. I've heard a lot about good things about GMGN. I want to really get into that to learn about how to do the to set up the trailing stop loss, where it you can set it to trail your profits and be able to set that to where it's not a static stop loss where if it goes up and goes down, you're going to miss out on the profits if you slept on your bag, but where that stop loss will go up with the profit and you can set it to execute a 20% below wherever the high is, or 50% depending on how volatile the trade is. Do you have any experience with that on GMGN late night?
Yeah, also if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if you guys seen it. GMGN definitely came out with like a version 2. I don't know if they're gonna be integrating that into the app that they're coming out with. I know they're gonna come out with an iOS app. If I'm not mistaken, they already have an Android one. But yeah, they're definitely making things a lot more easier as they go. So I like it a lot.
Another thing I like to do when I'm trading, there have been coins that I tried to get into and that I did get into and tried to get out of, and it kept terminating my transaction. So sometimes if you just go directly into your Phantom wallet and try to execute the swap there, their fees are more static. You have a limited ability on what you can change manually, but a lot of times if it won't work in whatever platform you're using, you can just go into the Phantom wallet directly and use that swap feature to swap in and out. And you might pay a little more in fees, but if you get out of that trade in time, it's always going to be worth it. So I don't know if anybody is used to that feature and has any stories they can share on that.
I'm still experimenting with the stop loss, to be honest, because like you said, sometimes the stop loss will be terminated, and I'm still trying to get the feel for it. I definitely want to learn how to do that more because there's definitely times where I'm not able to look at the charts. I'm usually driving a lot, and I don't want to miss out on that rug, and I don't want to miss out pulling out those funds before it does rug. Because usually, when things drop around like 20-30%, that's when things start getting shaky, and that fear starts coming in for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll use that opportunity to circle back to Dirty Jeeto. I know most people do not talk about their meme coins as a solid long-term investment, but the reason we are doing this is to try to establish ourselves as set apart. We do have that strong community that I talked about. We have a very transparent team. All of our top holders, will come in and tell you what is their wallet and be fully doxed. We also have a community marketing wallet, which I know that most of the time people hear the word marketing wallet and they run away screaming, but we're handling ours a little bit differently. It's completely doxed. And what we're doing is we have a community vote on what we should spend our marketing dollars on. Once there's a clear majority consensus, we're making that purchase. We're posting the receipts directly in our chat, and then then only is when the money is moved from the marketing wallet. We encourage everyone to put it on the watch list. If you see anything that you think looks fishy with any wallets, usually it's one that we already know what's going on with it. And you can jump right in that VC and say, hey, I noticed this. What can you tell me about this? And if we can't tell you about it, we have a great team of wallet trackers that can go in there and say, let's figure this out, and we can pretty much let you know what's going on, and if that's an insider, if that's an outsider. So I just want to put that out there, that the transparency is a big part of what we're trying to do, because we know that we need to set ourselves aside from most of the scam coins and shit coins that are out there, and we absolutely have a long-term vision. We're working on a very solid roadmap where you can participate as part of the community and have other ways to make money, not just putting a bag in Dirty Jeeto. So I'll leave it at that. I see RJ has stepped up and wants to say something. Welcome, RJ.
What's going on? I just want to speak about the stop losses. You got to be very careful with stop losses because 99% of the time they won't work in low market cap tokens, especially these meme coins, because the bots have gotten so sophisticated in terms of bundling. You'll look at a project, it'll be no bundles at all. It'll be perfect, all little perfect gray circles. No wallets look like they're connected, but they have a bot that might have 100 wallets. And when that bot sells, they all sell at one time, and your stop loss just gets passed up. So stop losses are great when you're dealing with altcoins, when you're dealing with high market cap tokens that are in a few million. But these, you can never leave your. My main suggestion is you never stop looking at the chart on any new project you're in.
Oh yeah.
And you also need to know, because even if you're watching, you can watch it. I watched a couple last night. I did not get into them. They migrate as soon as they hit migration. Boom. Man, they had 150, 200 people in spaces. Everybody was so excited and so happy. Oh, they migrated. And when it hit migration and it hit about 65K, it dropped over to 20K just like that. Boom. Your stop loss will never kick in. Um, this is the messed up space that we're in, unfortunately. And I don't know how we're going to get around it, but um, well, that's what I wanted to say about the stop loss. No matter what bot you're using, no matter what trading platform you're using, no matter what your settings are, if they're all selling instantaneously, you'll never get out. It'll be too late. So, but you got to be careful with that. That's more, maybe that's a different topic of being able to try to educate people to look at the holder list to try to figure out if they are heavily bundled. Um,
Now,
and
I agree with you 100%. I don't even, when I'm trading in the trenches, I don't even set stop losses. I only put in what I can afford to go to zero. I only focus on setting my take profits, because it's not, if it's going to rug, it's going to rug. It's going to rug so fast that everybody's
right,
going to be ahead of you. So I agree that in these shitcoin meme coins that you're just hoping to get a quick 2x,
2x
10x,
can get out.
yeah,
But
the stop loss is pointless. You just don't put any more than you expect to risk. Anything I put in those, I expect to go to zero, and that's just what that is. But the take profits are great, and even the ones that I
yeah,
have that go to zero, there's been several mornings. You can even look on our Dirty Jeeto TG chat and see where I've posted screenshots of where it's sat for days at the bottom at 3 or 4K. And then all of a sudden it shot up to 100K. And I'll post it. I said, another moon bag pays off. It's all coming back to Jeeto. So the
right.
take profits are great. But now the stop losses are useless in the high volatile meme
And that's the
coins.
thing, people have to be able to. And that's one of the main things that we want to educate too. Is to, if you don't do it automatically, you want to do it automatically. Set it up so that if you buy in early and you're not part of the project, that it automatically start pulling out as it hits certain market caps. So you at least come out with something. When it comes to stop losses, when you're trading altcoins and Bitcoin, you absolutely want that, because there's times where you'll see Bitcoin will be at 100K and then it'll go to 10K in a matter of an hour or two. You can get out, or some of those other altcoins. But You got to take profits. You know, you want to stay loyal to the project. If you're part of the dev or the core, that's one thing. If you're not, you got to look out for your bag, and you have to not worry about what you missed out on. And that's the biggest addictive problem with crypto. You'll get in a project at 10 or 15K market cap, and you'll still see it go up and up. And instead of pulling out, whether that's $20 or $100 you put in and it turns to $200 or $300, get out. At least get out with your initials and profits, because you don't want to see that go to zero. You don't want to see that $100 investment go to $30 or $20. And if it can, and the project continues to go on, oh well. You didn't, you'll say you missed out, but hey, that is our biggest problem. It was one of my big problems, and I've learned that lesson. I don't care if it goes to $1 million. If I got out and I doubled my money, okay. I'd rather take that chance of missing out. There's more likely that I'm going to wind up losing than winning, and especially in today's space. And we were talking about marketing wallets. When you launch a project, you have a marketing wallet, but all your marketing wallets should not be. You should have more than one marketing wallet, and they should not be all doxed. You don't want all your. You need marketing, and that's very important. You should have at least 5 marketing wallets. 1 or 2, no problem. Let everyone know. The other ones need to be in secret. I hate to say that, so that because people are going to bitch and complain when you sell out of that marketing wallet. Maybe the out of the 5, the first 3 are going to be the beginning as you start to get to 20 and 30K market cap, so you can start paying for your initial marketing, and then after that, the bigger wallet you would start to pull out and dox to everyone that you're pulling this out at 200K market cap to pay for this, and so forth and so on. But because you're going to have so many people bitching and complaining, why are you selling out of that? Why are you doing this and that? It's called a marketing wallet. You have to sell. Unless you're willing to put up, and you have enough people who are willing to put up 5 or 10 grand in marketing, and nobody's going to do that, you have to do that.
Now, I agree that people always want to bitch and moan when you're executing strategies, even if they have agreed on it, if it's hurting their bottom line. But that's great advice, and we'll have to take that under advisement. On our marketing wallet that we have, we are currently using the strategy of having it balanced, where 50% is going into the coin for the strategy of building up and being able to have growth in marketing from the coin, but we're also we have a portion of it that stays in Sol and potentially USDC, depending on what
Right.
people contribute to make those purchases right now while we're still low. That way we're not clipping our chart.
Right. You
So,
have people who are donating to the marketing wallet. That should be known and out there to everyone.
absolutely,
But all your
absolutely.
if you ever launch another one, and you will,
I
everything does
appreciate
not have to be transparent with all your marketing. It's just the way it has to be. And I've said this to you before. The only way projects are going to be successful is if you have a core group that is willing to invest a significant amount of money. Even how many projects are migrating right now? Very few.
probably less than 1%.
Very few even making it. And when they do make it, they dump. You have to buy up as much of the supply as possible. And that's hard to do, but that could take 4 people with a couple grand apiece. And I know it's going to be hard for people to do that. Then you release the project to the outsiders. So there's no possible way it could ever drop under 30K market cap. It's impossible, and the only way it can is if the core sells their main wallets. Once that project hits a certain point, it is hard to recover. It's almost impossible to recover when it dumps hard. No one wants to touch it. People lose interest immediately and they move on to the next. But if you can keep your market cap in the hundreds of K market cap, it can continue to build and have more success and go on and on and on.
Obviously, as being a part of the TG, you know that that is exactly the challenge Dirty Jeeto is facing right now. We had a very big push and a high marketing dollars injected by the original dev. We had a lot of rugging and selling going on. And as a community, we are taking on the grassroots efforts to build up from scratch. So all of that advice is certainly
It's it, it happened.
go
It
ahead.
happened with Judo. I was in Judo when it first was launched, but I wasn't part of the beginning. I think I got in at 30 or 40K mark, 30K market cap. I don't know what it was, but I was part of Coke 2 and the car. I wasn't directly part of it, but I had inside information to get into Coke 2. I think I got into Coke 2 at around 30K market cap, and then I was in Coke 1. Everything, the same thing happened with all three of those. Oh, we're going to hold. We're going to hold. And it's so hard. And I hate to use the term brokies, but it's a term that we use. That you get in early with only $500. Say it's only 10, it's 10 people. Some of those people, they see 2, 3, 5, 10. With Coke 2, some seeing 20, 30, 40, 50 mil, I mean $50,000. That's a lot of life-changing money for some people. They're not going to sit there, and it's hard for them to sit there and watch it go back to their $500. I want to be in a project with someone that can see 500 turn to 50,000 and actually go back down to $500. Because
Likewise, likewise.
if none of those, if the main individuals of Coke 2 and Coke 1, really Coke 1, never started pulling the big bags out, it would still be here today. It would still be here. That's how some of these other projects go into the millions, because the people are sitting on these bags that are showing hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're not yanking $50,000 clips, dropping the market cap by multiple millions at a time. But it's about greed. It's about individuals trying to be rich overnight, and you're not going to be rich overnight, especially not in the meme coin scene. Just imagine you were part of Coke too, right? Moon.
Yes, I had some investment in Coke too. I did.
If at 8 million or 6 million, none of the initial core sales sold, no big bags, as this guy did and a few others. Where do
It would
you
have flew.
where do you think it would have been if there wasn't these big $10,000 clips, and some of them made 30, 40, 50, $60,000? Don't let anyone fool you. I'm telling you they did not. And none of their core initial talking about they're broke and they didn't make any money. Don't believe it. Impossible.
Yeah, I definitely invested in the project, and that's what made me get some initial interest in Jito. But that's part of why at Dirty Jito, we tell people do not invest more than you can afford to lose. And we also encourage a strategy of when you get into a coin, you take out your initials. That way, the only thing that you have at risk is profit. And when you do start seeing a project grow and you see those exponential gains,
But
it's a little easier to take a little profit on the way up as you go and be able to respect the chart because you're not at risk of losing your life savings. We've seen people go in and invest 1, 2, 3K in these projects, and they're not on the inside, and they don't take their initials out as it goes up, and then they round trip it, and then they're hurt, and they want to blame everyone else for their
I
losses
I that
versus yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
that when you said people were spending 2 and 3, there's no way in hell you should ever be investing $2 or $3,000 in any meme coin unless you were part of the core. If you find one that's at $1 million market cap, do not spend $3,000 of your money. But people don't know it, and that's my whole thing with major, trying to educate people that are new coming into the space that they don't wind up doing that. And I know there's a few that did that with Coke because you want to buy as many tokens as possible. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, you're talking about taking profits. That's another thing. That's another part of the addiction of crypto, is because you say you bought in at 5K market cap and you bought 50 million tokens. and you want to take your initial out. It's hard for you to come up and take that initial out because if you take that initial out at 20K market cap or 30K market cap, you're going to lose half of your bag or a quarter of your bag.
Yes,
And then in
exactly.
your mind, and in your mind, it's like, well, if this thing goes to 1 million, I would have had this amount of money, but I sold them 20 million tokens to get my initial out. So you get caught up in that. Oh, I don't want to do that because I'm going to lose tokens, and if it continues to go, I missed out because that could kept if I kept on going and went to 1 million market cap, but I took my initial out. So people hold, and they get to hopium, and they hold, and then they wind up losing everything. And this, I know, I'm talking from experience. I've traded at least 300 shitcoins, and out of 300, I don't know how many have been rug pulls or I've lost or I've held too long. It wasn't so bad with the rug pulls that we have today. It was kind of there was been rug pulls for the last 5 years or 4 years, but now it's just one after the other, one after the other. Back then, it wasn't quite that way. And I watched my bags with the hopium. Oh, it's gonna go back up. Oh, I'm gonna sell if it hits this market cap. And then I said, oh no, I'll wait because it's gonna retrace, and it never does, and you lose all your money. And then what's
Uh-huh.
and it
We,
just makes it
sorry,
makes the
go.
and this space is so shady and destroyed. And I'm glad what you're doing, and I hope you continue to do it. It's what Major and me want to do, educate. We can all come together and launch a project that is going to have a sustained legs. And there's guidelines and rules that have to be set. If you want to be a part of that core, you have to be willing to invest a significant amount of money and lock your money up. Lock your tokens, at least a portion of those tokens, to protect the chart. And that's the only way it's going to be successful right now, unless you have the luck of the Irish, and you can put a project out there that somehow that meta just explodes and it goes into multi millions. Rare. A lot of those
Yeah,
tokens
we
that you see that are at the multi million tokens is because people have invested thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, and by the time it even migrates or launches, before even when it launches, it's already migrated. They're the ones that continue to push. But go ahead, I've been running my mouth long enough.
no, you're good, but and that's definitely why at Dirty Jeeto we decided to take a stand and get away from the oh this didn't work, let's launch a new one mentality that we saw so many following, and we call that chasing losses. And we are taking this grassroots effort, and that it's just a strong core team member, and we want to build the community one by one, and educate and teach people how to do this. And obviously, long-term future plans are to learn from how we build this organically and what marketing tactics work, and to give value to normal people who come in thinking they're going to have a get rich quick scheme, and it blows up in their face. So that's what we're here for, and we know it's going to take a long hard road to get there, but I think as people start seeing us here, and see that our intentions are good, and they can actually start to rely on the fact that Dirty Jeeto is here to stay, we will begin to build that community, and our floor will keep growing. And we've already made significant progress in those areas. But absolutely, everything that RJ said is completely true. You have to be careful, you have to protect your own investment. The reality is, when you enter any crypto investment, whether it's a solid Bitcoin or it's a high risk, high reward meme coin, you're doing so to secure the financial future of you and your family. And so when you're trusting people that are saying, "Oh, do this, do that, it's generational wealth, that we're going to pump this up to the millions," anything that sounds too good to be true usually is, and you have to protect your own interests. That's why taking the initials out, that way, whatever you put in is not at risk, and anything you get after that is gravy. And also to look for communities, not just like Dirty Jeeto, that are trying to build value and that you can see there's a solid foundation. But you still have to be careful too with those. So we want to educate, and we want to make sure that people are aware of these things. And in the meantime, as we go, we want to build value in our token to say, these guys are here. And last time I looked at them, they were at 9K. And then when I looked at them, they were at 13K. And now I look at them, they're at 30K. Oh my God, now they're at a million. I wish I would have got in at 9K. We don't hope that happens to anyone, but it will, and we'll still be here when it does. So come
Mhm.
check us out, be a part of our community, help us build this foundation of people who actually want to make a difference in the crypto space and going forward in the prospect of launching new business ideas and launching new projects. We will be solid, and we'll make sure to if the bad actors that do want to rug a project and get out, good riddance. The Dirty Jeeto, we're farming the farmers and we're buying the dips. So just come check us out, and thank you so much, RJ, for helping to warn our listeners on those things. I know you have a lot of experience in those, and you have a solid policy on meme coins.
What you're doing is perfect. You are building a community. I know you're going to wind up having. You're going to launch another project. There's no question about that. I hope Dirty Jeeto pushes. I'm a holder. I've been holding for since I got back in it. Once I realized a certain individual was out of it, and but you're going to launch one. But you're right now. What you're doing is you're creating your own group, and you're going to people are going to come and people are going to go. The impatient people are going to go. The patient people are going to stick around. And then when it's time to launch, you're going to be able to launch, and you're going to have a following, and hopefully an educated following. You're still going to have those individuals who are going to get in and out, or who are going to try to bundle. And why I say you have to buy up a lot of the floor is because it's easy, very easy to start a project, and you only started off at 10K market cap. People can bundle like hell. They bundle right on up. They'll buy a bunch of bags. But when it gets to if you come out there and you're automatically at 30K market cap or 40K market cap, they had to spend more to do that, and they're not going to do that. And even at that market cap, people will still bundle. They're still going to buy up, and then they'll dump. But it won't be as severe because they're not going to be able to buy 20 million tokens for $30 or $50.
Absolutely,
That's why we
absolutely.
always
At
say you
five,
buy up the floor. Then it's going to be hard. Now you've got to spend a couple sold to buy that 20 million tokens. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no, at 5K market cap, it's real easy to make a 2x. So that makes perfect sense. But I want to say thank you. That is a hell of an endorsement that you're a holder in Cheeto, because we know your policy on meme coins and how you stay away from them. So I really appreciate that you have taken a notice and become a part of our community, sharing your knowledge and education, and that you are a holder. That really means a lot.
Once I seen that the old regime was out, I've been watching. Like I said, I've been around. I got into Dirty Jeeto, and then it went up to 300K market cap. I didn't sell anything because I wasn't watching it like I should. I was on a cruise at the time when Dirty Jeeto was launched. Didn't think it was going to dump because I thought that the core was going to hold and we're going to it was going to push. At first, it was, as I understand, it was just going to be a fun thing. And then once he started spending all that money in marketing, it's okay. This is serious. They're going to push this thing like they did Coke. Well, apparently that didn't happen. A lot of money was spent in marketing, but people they were starving, I guess, and they just ate the chart up. But now that I hear you talking and took over and he's out of it and some of the other players are out, it doesn't hurt me to jump in. I jumped in, I think, at 14K when it dropped down. I bought again at 18K. That's where I'm at. I got about 6 million tokens. That's all I have. Then we'll see where it goes. It's not killing me. Let it ride, you know. And I'm going to help and support. And hopefully, me and Major, we can help support and we can come together and actually get the project to push. Or the worst case scenario, come up with another project along with this. More of a, what I don't know if you know Major. Major, his whole idea was to create a token, a learning token, okay, a project, and he's going to have. There's already a website being built that's going to give all these tools to people to trade, all these scanners and everything else to be able to scan a project, and find out your risk and all that. That's what's being worked on now and been worked on. And
Yeah,
that's the end goal. And to do what you're doing now is exactly what he wants the coffee grinder to be. That same type of an educational space, which he's already had. He's got another whole group where he tries to educate people. He doesn't show any meme coins in that group. There's about 1,000 people in that group. Doesn't show any projects. It's only talking about altcoins and what's going on in the crypto news. It's completely separated from the coffee grinder. It's called a cow. It's doing what you're trying to do right now. And some people are going to listen, some are not. We want to catch those new people so they don't go through the mistakes that I've made and some of us listening here that's probably made and losing your money. Because it'll make you sick. If you're new to crypto, you come in and you put $1,000 of all your money into some project, as soon as you buy, 30 seconds later, it's gone. And what does that do to some people? Some people, they leave crypto, they never come back. We want to stop that.
absolutely. And in worst case scenarios, we know that there are people who have lost their life savings and end up taking their own life simply because they weren't aware that it was that risky. So we want to make sure that we educate people and save lives and offer them investment opportunities. And what you guys have going on, it sounds like absolutely. I know of Major. I know he's got a great reputation. It sounds like exactly it goes hand in hand with what we're trying to do here. We're just doing it in a much more risky environment and know that we're going to have to establish much more stability and much more consistency for people to trust that this is actually here to stay.
It's the best environment. It's the best environment. What you're doing now is integrated in this trash environment because everybody's hurt and beat and upset. And this is what you're doing now is the perfect environment, whether it's with Dirty Jeeto or whatever you decide to put out there. This is the perfect environment. And a lot of the people that are in Dirty Jeeto were in the other three projects or in the other other projects that were launched after Dirty Jeeto, and they got burned. So you're doing the right things. Keep it up. We're going to be here to support it and see if Dirty Jeeto can recover, can go up. It's
All
steady.
right.
The more it sits here at this market cap, the more people can see it's not going anywhere. Now it's going to, unfortunately, it's going to take marketing money to get it to pump again. Um, and as the market changes, that's when I would put those things. Once we start seeing Bitcoin going back up and the Solana start to go back to 50, 60, 70,000, 170,000, $170, I mean, up to 200, then I would start to put that marketing out there and get it seen again.
Yeah, we are working tirelessly behind the scenes to try to time it properly and know that we are going to have to put that in there. I do see that we are approaching the top of the hour. I know we got off
Yeah,
subject a little bit, but that's okay because
I
that's what
tend to
we're
do that.
doing. And no, no, you're fine. That's what we're trying to do in these spaces. But because we only have 5 minutes left on this one, I just want to open the floor up one more time to see if anybody else has anything to say on the topic or has any questions before we end this one.
I just want to put on the record, man. Shout out to Moon. Shout out to Boo's wife and Boo Boo. Oh man, you girls are amazing. You spent so much time last night updating our deck screener. I know you're up early. Nobody expects you to have to do all of this, and you still do it anyway. We are so grateful for you. We are so grateful for you
We
and
love you.
everything. Yeah, that's all I want to say. I'm very grateful and honored to be a part of this project, and we are not going anywhere. We're going to hold this floor. If it takes time, it takes time. It's all good. It's all good.
I really appreciate that. And, you know, ultimately, my goal for everyone who is also working hard behind the scenes with me. We are doing this on your own accord, and you have the strength and commitment that I see and I like to see on building a core community. As usual, I like to have a call to action at the end of these. Come into our VC. We have a few daily tasks if you come in that don't cost you anything. We want you to buy a bag only if you want to and if you see the value in the project. But if you do stop by in the VC, we want you to try to participate in our daily tasks at least once. Vote on Deck Screener on the Rocket. Uh, hit those raids 5 times. Invite one person that doesn't know about Dirty Jeeto to come hang out with us in the VC, and to vote on our buy bots, so we can get some of that free exposure while we are putting together our plans on marketing before we start putting the dollars behind it. That way we can start trending a little bit and get a little momentum going. So the marketing dollars only complement the organic community driven success that we have. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and close this. We will, as always, be back in the VC, and we are there, and it is open 24/7. And we look forward to meeting you, talking to you, and whether you're here as a listener or you're catching it on the back end, we want all of you to be a part of our community going forward, and recognize what we have and give your contributions and take what you can from the knowledge we're trying to share, because that's what we're here for. You guys have a good night.